Welcome to a rare Thursday night episode of Taking It to the Nub. Tonight's episode is important. I always say it really is about the guest, and I'll adjust accordingly. And my guest had a lot of things going on. This man has been busy since the day I met him almost a decade ago. I want to introduce to you Casey Hagan from Crux Cigars. Casey, how are you tonight?
Well, hello, sir. How are you?
Good. You probably didn't hear my intro because you're usually in the waiting room and you don't hear it. So
I did not get to hear that beautiful intro.
I've known you almost 10 years. And everything you've done in my book has been incredible. Okay. Your company's made great cigars from the start, but what's more important is you decided with the love of cigars to move from Minnesota smartly to Miami. Did you change colors along the way?
So there was a stop between Minneapolis and Miami for me. I actually spent 5 years out in Las Vegas before that. So I knew right after college when I was working for my cousin, Jeff Haugen, who's obviously our owner and our president of our company, does all our blending. But when I was working for him in 2007 and 8, when I got done playing baseball, I realized for me that Minnesota wasn't the place where I was going to be happy because it was so cold. So I lucked out and I found a job at a golf company in Vegas. And then when we reconvened to launch this company officially in 2014, but obviously it took some time to get it launched. Then yes, I relocated that lifestyle out of Las Vegas, specifically down to Miami, just to obviously run our operations out of here. So no, I couldn't be more happier with, obviously moving across the country a few times to get this thing on the road for us. But it's been a great thing. And now we've got our offices just north of Miami up in Boca Raton. And I moved to the West Palm area about a year ago.
So before we get deep into the show, Q, thank you for finding your way in. I wasn't sure where you were this week, but that's cool. What's everybody smoking?
Norfolk, Virginia, and Emerson Cigar, where I have got my hands on the new connoisseur from Crux Cigars.
So you are in, it looks like you're in the brewery. We'll be there in a little over a week.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So you're smoking the Dew Connoisseur number 4.
Oh, they're already in the 4th one?
That the number 4? Looks like the number 4, right?
Looks like the number 4. Little Corona Gorda.
Yep. Fabulous, spectacular cigar. Anybody who has not had that, and I've talked about your Dew Connoisseurs when they first came out, kind of Lancero, that's just a small ring gauge cigar that was phenomenal. This one takes that blend. Normally you have these like Lanceros where you blend to a lot of times, and then you try to move it to the other ones. This nailed it. I love this blend in that Vitola. Look at this guy.
It's so nice I had to buy it twice, baby. You know how we do it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a fan of that one. We're a fan. Corona Gorda is a great size in that blend, and that was officially launched, I believe, last year. We came out with that size officially.
Now, what are you smoking, Jeff?
My name is Casey again. I am smoking a pre-release of the cigar we came out at the trade show. Is our Epicure Habano, which will be out this fall, hopefully. We always say it's coming in the future when it's perfect, but it's our newest release, which is part of the Epicure trilogy. The Epicure Habano, and I was gonna smoke the Connoisseur, but I figured you would be smoking it, which you are not, but he is. So I didn't want to smoke the same cigar, and I hadn't had one of these aging in since the show. I've been letting them kind of roll out to see how they keep going, and they're tasting absolutely fantastic. I can't
I
wait.
just want to call you Jeff one more time just to see if
Well, no, I am not. I am not smoking either of those. I am actually smoking your Limitada PCA edition Short Solomon, which actually come in this beautiful 5-count box, which I picked up when you were over here at Executive Cigar Lounge here in Melbourne, Florida. Great fans. I'm so happy they finally decided that it's time to bring Crux into the market, because she should have been there a long time ago. But this cigar, I love, by the way, I just absolutely love the Short Solomon Vitolas that you came out with. Okay. I thought that was the best expression of blends because of the way it starts small, fattens up, right? Gets you that concentration of smoke coming down and then thins down into that fine tip at the bottom. I love this. I'm not always a true Solomon fan, but this worked.
Yeah, when we came out with that size, we just wanted to, not a big, unique, large ring gauge, and that's a 54, but we had some unique small ring gauges. But it lucked out for us when we were down in the factory one trip, and we're actually making the discussion with Nestor of what, cool shapes can we use, and he had these molds. So we had to test every one of them. So we actually do that size in 3 of our blends with the Short Solomon, the Maduro, and the Epicure Connecticut. So I think they all perform very well, but it's a more difficult cigar to make. So we can't make as many, but it's also it's time consuming. But it brings out a uniquely complex cigar that has more of that changing throughout the cigar because of the difference in the size. So you do roll that and bunch that a little bit differently, but it came out great. And that's why we did that one for the PCA exclusive, which would be the second edition for the PCA exclusive on that one, which was last year was the first. And no, I love that size, especially when you can get it.
So when you create these limitadas, when we met, God, 8 or 9 years ago?
Well, our first year would have been officially was 2014. So it would have been probably summer, fall.
So it was a 2014 IPC PCR.
Yeah.
And you were these small guys who had a pretty cool booth. And we had this discussion. And one of the things that you were talking about is how when you started when Jeff started the company and you all came on board, you bought a whole bunch of tobacco that you found to be wowsy, but you weren't going to use that in all your blends. So I'm going to be a special cigar every year. You already set the stage that Crux is going to be on the map. And oh, by the way, you're going to want this special cigar every year. Do you still have any more of that original tobacco?
So that was a wrapper that's Habano seed, Esteli shade grown, Engañoso wrapper, we call it. It was a wrapper that Nestor Plasencia had grown years before that. So I think when Jeff started blending with it in 2012-ish, the wrapper at that time was, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years old. But Jeff he just fell in love with this wrapper. And because of the size of our company when we started, we weren't going to make hundreds of thousands and millions of cigars the first year. So we wanted to come out with one limited edition when we found the right project. So we found this tobacco that was really small in quantity, but we forecasted there was about 100,000 cigars worth of tobacco. So the first year when we did our limited edition, which is our second year in existence, when we did the Limitada PB5 was when we first used that wrapper in market. But we thought we had about 100,000 cigars worth. So we thought we would do 5,000 here, 10,000 here, 10,000 here. And it ramped up pretty quickly. The first year was 5,000. The second year was 12,500. Then the third year, I believe it was 15,000. And as we started eating up that tobacco, thankfully we had convinced Nestor to grow us some more. So we grew it for us. And thankfully now we've got enough to make about 100,000 a year.
Wow.
Instead of 100,000 total. It's still not a lot. So that's why it's still in it's the only tobacco we use that is just in the limited. It's the wrapper. But we have the ability to make about 100,000 max a year, and we do it in 3 vitolas, which we do the PB5 still. We do a box press Marblehead, and then we do the short Salamone for the PCA exclusive. And we make just under about 100,000 a year with those.
So that's your limited editions, 100,000 a year now.
In 3 shapes.
Yeah, I get it. But what's your full production rate now?
It's production and importing. It varies a little bit based on what it is, but we're reaching that point of we're going to hit 1 million cigars for the first time this year.
Congratulations.
Thank
That
you.
is a major milestone.
Yeah, we'll get there.
No.
We're well on pace. We almost got there last year. We fell just short, overkicked our coverage on the projections for last year, but I'm confident we'll exceed that substantially this year. And the fact is, obviously, we have a sales team in place. We have 5 salespeople.
Just hired one.
Just hired another broker out of the Northwest. But our team's been growing, so we better be selling more cigars.
Is your growth projection where you thought it would be when you first started?
So in 2014, we never really knew. We thought we had a great plan. We had great business partners, and we thought we had a pretty good plan. And I think for us, the process of which we've done it has for substantial staying power in the industry versus we didn't go, all of a sudden open up, 1,000 retailers and sell it to everybody and discount the product. And no, we took the long haul, and now it's been 8 years. And I think we're in just under somewhere between 370 and 400 retailers across the country.
That's a sweet spot.
So we've got a few more that we can get. Obviously, we're not strong in the entire country. We do well in a lot of places, but there's still room for growth for us. So I think, we can get to about that 500 retail partners across the country, and that would be a nice little company. But we're still young. I mean, so our growth projection is done. I think kind of the way we had mapped it out was always continuing to grow, and then more importantly, continuing to secure tobacco so we could grow at a steady pace with the consistency and quality of our product. Because first and foremost for us, everything needs to be about the product. And we want to be able to continually buy tobacco for 2, 3, 4 years down the road, as well as continually make the same cigars. And as of the existence of our company, what we've done is we've also, we had to lose a few cigars along the way due to tobacco availability when we just started out kind of growing the amount that we thought we could make. And unfortunately, we lost one of my favorite cigars years ago. The Crux Classic is no longer in existence because of tobacco availability. But it happens. And, those are good problems. We just realized that we couldn't make enough. We couldn't secure enough tobacco to make, enough cigars in the future. So when we did the repackaging a few years ago, we kind of had to make that adjustment to our projection numbers. And we just knew that wasn't sustainable. So, and to do the packaging was expensive. So we weren't going to bring over brands that we thought we'd have to get rid of pretty quickly. But thankfully, we were able to then find other great brands. Obviously, Jeff's done our blending since day one, and a lot of time and effort has gone into securing great tobacco so we have the ability to make more cigars, and then obviously securing packaging. So, the growth projections are steady. Every year we go up and up and up, and then we had that little cigar boom, which definitely we were positioned for because we had hired some new people. We had gotten to a new warehouse. We have our own distribution center now, which we just finished. Well, not finished, but just expanded in it in the last few months. So, we're self-sustainable on at least on the distribution side now. And other than not growing our own tobacco, we're pretty vertical. So that's definitely been a blessing for us.
Very good. Q, you got a question?
Hey, you got some very well. 3 shots. It's on
Your voice is cracking up.
I can't hear him.
Put the mic closer to your mouth, maybe.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's
All right. So my question is, do you believe in oversaturation of a market
for cigars or our product.
for your product alone? So do you guys get to
So,
a point to where you say that there's too many shops that carry your cigar in one central market?
so that's a great question because I think that competition in a market it can be beneficial for a brand. I can also think if you sell to people that aren't deemed qualified retailers that are bastardizing the product or they are not housing it properly. So I think for us, it's about finding the right people and the right partners that we think make or promote the product, support the brand. And I feel like there's not an oversaturation of that in most markets, but there's definitely some places that are more concentrated that, you know, if the cigar sales are there, I think as a brand grows, the recognition of it throughout larger markets helps as a whole because, you know, somebody walks into a cigar shop and they've never heard of Crux because we only sell to a few places in the area that maybe they go to a couple different shops, they may ask for it and then they don't have it, they don't sell it. But the brand awareness definitely comes available. And we started it by choosing the right retail partners for us that kind of had our principles in it. Like, obviously we want to price protect. We want, you know, brick and mortar. And we want people that will help support us and not only help grow our brand, but, you know, treat our brand like they would want their brand treated. So, you know, we're pretty particular. And that's why we have a good group of team that, you know, does that vetting of, you know, on the ground, and we're knocking on doors and seeing who we want to do. And there's so many good ones out there that we're not in yet that we would love to do business with at some point. Obviously, as our productions grow, we have the more ability to, you know, open new doors. And our biggest difficulty over the last 18 months has been packaging. Not because it's wood boxes have just been so hard to get. So that's when we launched our new prototype box that the Habano is going to be coming in, which is an all recycled cardboard box that we can print instead of having to, you know, get wood. So we're working on that. That's still in the final stages of finishing in production, so we can get that out. But that'll alleviate some of that stress on our box factory because we have cigars, we just didn't have enough wood, and we know we have the process of our dress box as well as our refill brick, which is essentially, you know, a different way to package it at a less wood possibility. But we need a display box on the shelf to sell in any retail store. And when we just were running out of wood, we essentially had to say we can get cigars, but we can't open new accounts. So we have had to pause new account openings over the last 18 months frequently. But we've been securing more and more wood just so we can get more and more boxes. So I think we do a great job of finding the partners that fit our kind of mold and our kind of principles in a territory. And we kind of stick with it. Like, we don't just sell to anybody. You can't just call me and say, I want to buy cigars. You can't call our retail partners understand that we have, you know, certain types of premium lounges that we are looking for. And you don't want to see us at, you know, a gas station, you know, not humidified. So I think that definitely helps, not oversaturating it. And our production is still pretty low in the scheme of the world to say it'd be really hard to find all those different trade markets.
So you have seen growth. We talked about sustainment and dealing with partners. When I look at from the time I've met you to now, I personally have seen brands come and brands go. We had to deal with FDA. We had to deal with pandemic. You guys have been able to stay the course, grow your business. What would be the top 3 attributes of your business that you would say made that happen?
Well, I say first and foremost as a business, I mean, we had a plan. Like, our plan wasn't to rush into the market and try to explode into 1,000, 2,000 millions of cigars a year. we had a long-term plan, because Jeff's always had the principle of when he grown a business is to think about it in decades. So there was always a long-term plan set first of how do we think we get there. And yeah, we've had to make a few adjustments throughout the course of the years. So first and foremost, Jeff, obviously incredible businessman, had a great plan to start. How were we going to kick it off? Where were we going to make adjustments? Then making the adjustments along the ways. Which are best for long term. And that would always be thinking, is this the right move today, or is this going to be the right move for tomorrow? So that forward thinking was, okay, we won't make short-sighted decisions just because it maybe been a little bit of extra money in our pocket today, but we always looked is it going to make us money tomorrow? Secondly, I feel obviously Jeff, having been in the business since the early 90s, Jeff's owned retail stores in Minnesota since the early 90s. He's seen the same thing you have. He's seen companies, come and go, and he's obviously learned a lot from their failures and successes, as well as had a lot of influence based on, some of his very good friends that are manufacturers that he had met over the years. And that mentorship goes without saying. There's many of them out there, so I'm not going to start naming them, but a lot of the guys that, we reached out to early on that helped Jeff kind of get this, the catalyst started here. And then the last one for sure is definitely having the business partners down in Nicaragua that we do. I mean, we have two of the best business partners with Nestor Plasencia and the Plasencia family, and then AJ Fernandez and his factory. I mean, finding those incredible manufacturing partners that have tobacco, have ability, have expertise that we could learn from, because we're not farmers and we weren't tobacco rollers. So we had to take retail and close it with farming and kind of meet in the middle along with the Plasencias, who were doing the reverse. They were obviously farmers and manufacturers. And since they've launched 1865, and we've closed that gap between consumer and farmer. And there's just a lot of great conversations spent. And I mean, Jeff and I used to be down in Nicaragua a heck of a lot more than we are now. I mean, I was just down there last month, but we get down there frequently. But early on, I mean, we were making 6, 7, 8 trips a year there after we were launched. But before that, Jeff spent a week a month down there for 2 years. So he spent over, over the 2-3 year period, 30, 40, 50 visits just in that year period to get us to a launchable company. So those are probably the 3 biggest things. Obviously it does help to have some success and have a little bit of money to put aside. And obviously a good business plan allows you to have the right amount of capital that you think you need. But then running your company really lean, not being too proud. I mean, we never had a huge warehouse originally to start, and we, had a small office. We had a small team, and until we could afford to buy tobacco and then hire somebody. So the tobacco was always first, and then figuring out, I'd love to work a lot less, but sometimes, you got to show up and clean the bathroom. Sometimes you get to, sometimes you got to go to the party,
So good. So that is a good success story.
I'm always the guy cleaning the bathroom. I never get to go to the party.
What I need to do now is I need to do a quick commercial break. Shout out the sponsors of the show. When we come back, I want to talk about the whole concept of the rebranding and what you've done, because I love it. I did the day I saw it. My wife, being an artist, remember her comment. She goes, "This is amazing." So you got kudos on that. We're going to come back to that and we'll dig more into the brand. So today's show is brought to you by, you guys seeing this, right? Okay. It's brought to you by Bocock Brothers Cigars. Bocock Brothers is a new and active brand founded by 2 Honduran brothers, Bryant and Douglas Bocock. The brand zeroes in on those folks that are looking for easy to smoke cigars inspired by unusual circumstances. Very importantly named after their very interesting and imitable last name, Bocock. Their logo is a rooster with a red bow tie, and right now they're featuring their latest release the signature edition made at who else but AJ Fernandez's factory, with an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, a Nicaraguan Habano binder, and a Nicaraguan filler in 3 popular formats of a Toro, Gordo, and a Robusto. And I'm going to tell you, this is a fabulous cigar. Great guys, new brand. Check them out if you haven't had a chance. You can check them out at www.bocockbrothers.com. Today's show is brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars. As you know, Platinum Nova is a family-owned and operated premium cigar company. They use only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship to put into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar, which results in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather, to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for an exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at www.novacigar.com and on their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter channels. Today's show is also brought to you by Rodriguez Cigars in Key West. In 1947, the Rodriguez family began the masterful art of cultivating tobacco on their private plantation in the town of Siguane, Cuba. In 1952, La Finca Carmencita employed over 20 workers and grew over 120,000 pounds of tobacco annually. Unfortunately, 8 years later, the Cuban government nationalized the private plantation, and the Rodriguez family was forced to immigrate to the United States. Landing in 1971 in the beautiful island of Key West, Florida, they established the Rodriguez Cigar Factory in 1984. That factory stands as the oldest cigar manufacturer in the Florida Keys, preserving the historical manufacturing industry that began in Key West in 1831. Of course, as the years pass, new generations of family members have expanded the manufacturing operations to Nicaragua, and they are proud to be working with some of the finest tobacco in the world. Rodriguez cigars are exclusively constructed with vintage leaves that have been hand-selected, aged, and constructed through the traditional Cuban manufacturing process. And if you haven't been down to Rodriguez, Key West, if you ever take a trip there, you got to go to this place. You got to take the $15 cigar factory tour. We'll walk you through. Danny DeFabio, the owner now, will walk you through the whole history of cigars, Key West, seed the palate. And at the end, you'll leave with a memento of your own fresh, bunched and rolled cigar, which you will do yourself. And you'll learn that process for only $15. So check it out, Rodriguez Cigars at www.rodriguezcigarskeywest.com. Today's show is lastly brought to you by our good friends over at Drew Estate.
Back and better than ever, with a party so big that only the Lone Star State can contain it. Music, spirits, mouth-watering barbecue, cigars galore, and so much more. It'll be the most epic shindig there ever was. Barn Smoker presents Savage Feast, October 22nd at the South Fork Ranch, Dallas, Texas. Get your tickets now at barnsmoker.com.
And if you haven't been to a Barn Smoker, well, you only got the Kentucky Barn Smoker coming up. And then, of course, the big kahuna, the Savage Feast. This is the culmination of their 25 years in business at the South Fork Ranch. If you're going, I'll see you there. Q and I will be there. We are going to be going in Stogie Press style. We are going to have a party to end all parties with Drew Estate. They put on great shows all the way through these Barn Smokers. I got some inside information. I kind of know a little more. All I can say, though, is the Savage Feast is going to be amazing.
It's sold out, baby.
You can't get tickets. So it's going to be fun. Anyway, let's come back to Casey. All right, so let's talk about what you guys did a few years ago. You made this bold decision to revamp the branding of Crux. Everything from the logo to the packaging. I mean, I absolutely love how every cigar now has a common band on it, and you just have the insignias of what it is below it. So talk about why you did that and what that did for your company.
So originally the thought when we got in, and we had kind of a uniquely more typical looking cigar branded company that, it was great. It launched our company, kept us in the game. We used it for 4 years, going on 5 years, but we had obviously, we wanted to figure out after a lot of information of what's going on in our business. So we hired an outside company to kind of do an evaluation of everything we're doing from the beginning. I mean, from our branding, our cigars, our personnel, whatever. We just wanted them to give us an evaluation of how they think we're doing. And, we wanted to try to figure out how can we do better. And when they came back to us, they said, cigars are great. People like it. People don't hate Casey. He's not completely. And we kind of had the thought that, but the logo, the branding, the marketing was a little bit hard to understand. Our logo was a little bit unlegible. You couldn't really read it. And
it was very gothic.
It was very gothic, had a regional feel, a little gothic, Ed Hardy kind of look. And it wasn't really legible. So people be like, cool logo, what's it say? You should make shirts. We're like, well, we're trying to sell cigars. So we found that, in taste testings and different things, people thought our cigars were good. So obviously we thought they were good because Jeff and I really liked them. And Jeff blended them. So we had a thought process there of, okay, so let's start with the rebranding process. So we hired a company, a marketing company, to help us with marketing, because we're not marketing geniuses, and we wanted people that had graphic design experience and difference and started the process well before we did the overchange, because we were like, we're going to start this process, and if we love what we come up with, then we'll change it. If we're like, is it much better? We don't know, but we needed to start somewhere. So we went through the expensive process of hiring graphic designers, marketing companies, people to obviously do their expertise. I mean, I'm by no means a graphic designer, so don't ask me to help you with that. But when it came down to it, we got to the point with our hands on, multiple extra hours of revisions and money and back and forth for almost a year. We were like, oh, now we got logos, we got secondary brands, we got new packaging designs, we got this. And you know what? We're like, I think this is going to change it. So once we launched that, 2019 trade show is when I think we launched it. So we've been working on it since the beginning of 2018. So about a year and a half. We had the process of, okay, kind of some scariness to it, because we're taking a new look, completely 180-degree difference from where we were, because we wanted it to be marketable all over the world. We wanted it to be a brand that was clean, elegant, timeless, something that you could walk into a humidor and recognize. You knew it was Crux. No matter what brand we come out with, things looked very unison. And, and at the end of the day, we had a product that we were more confident in. We had marketing that we were more confident in. And more importantly, it appealed to our customers because they could find it. People always say to me now, you guys have blown up. You guys are everywhere. Well, most importantly, at least everywhere we are, you can see it, because our marketing on shelf definitely stands out.
Well, let me stop you there for just 1 second and just move away from the sign behind you. I want to point something out on this sign. All right. So when you look at this logos, great logos have hidden messages in them. All right. And if you study this logo, you'll see two very, very important things. One, you're going to see kind of a a cigar and an ashtray between the C and the R. The C forms an ashtray, and the R, you could see in the white, there's that whole thing is like the cigar going over to the ashtray. Okay. The second thing you'll see is in the X, the left side going up to the right is a cigar with an ash on it. Two very important aspects of that logo, which subliminally is bringing your mind into cigars. You may not realize it, but that's what that company did for you. They did an awesome job just with that simplistic looking name, but it is got a message built into it.
Yeah, and you bring that up, which I'm glad you did, because that's awesome. Because there's a lot of things that we talked about in subliminal messaging and in graphics. We looked at multiple logos, multiple companies, successful companies, and there's subtle hints in so many major brands that unless you see them, you'll never see them. And I mean, FedEx to me is the number one.
Oh, that's the best.
If you look at the FedEx logo, if you ever study that, you'll see something and then you can never not see it. So thank you for bringing that. Yes, there was time and effort and money spent into revision after revision after revision. Almost felt like we were looking at the same script, the same lines, the same things. And I remember getting a list of, here's 150 logos. Which do you like? So we didn't use some, online company that said, pick one of these three. No, there was substantial amount of time and energy spent on from the top down, and our logo. I mean, it's everything for us. I mean, it's our brand. It's the recognition of our product, and then we want the quality and the consistency of our cigars to stand out, and then we want you to be able to find them again.
Awesome. Q, you got a question?
Yes, Jimmy. So I want to just point something out. This is something that Jimmy taught me, and I'm just recognizing it about the cigar smoking, is that the concave burn tone that Jimmy always harps on whenever he talks about his reviews is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you can see that in the cigar. But I just wanted to give you a shout out. It's burning phenomenally. And while we were talking about the logo and branding, what do you know about the branding on the Du Connoisseur? I love the fact that this band kind of has a little bit of you kind of see through it a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that. How much thought and process went into the individual cigars kind of taking on their own life? Like, obviously when you have a brand, you kind of want a standard, but then you come out with something special, you kind of want that to be able to, separate itself and show. How do you guys come up with it?
So that is the second version of our band, and I'll get into why we had to go second version in a second. But our original band also has what we call visuals here, so you can see the tobacco. Obviously, when we're color matching a band through all of our cigars, we want to make sure the color matches the actual color of the tobacco. So for this cigar, this was the Connecticut that I had here. So you match everything with the color. With the color palette of the band to the cigar. But when we were doing the visualization of it, like a lot of companies will do, primary band, secondary band, because they see, you want to be able to see the cigar and keep it through. So we actually have a 2-part band in one piece. And I don't know how it was deemed the bikini band, because technically the bikini is pieces, but because you could see the open air, it gave us a little bit more depth. There's also a lot of depth and, I'm not showing a lot of depth and dimension in our bands to allow you a little bit more visualization through it. So that was definitely something that when we came up with, we had the idea of our logo, our brand, our icons that tie into the other brand. But then on the band, you're specifically saying, we ran into an issue because you're smoking the largest ring gauge that we offer in that cigar, and we wanted to keep the same format. However, when you took this band and wrapped it to super small ring gauges, like the largest one so this was a 46 that I just unraveled to show you this band. This was the same size that he has, but that's the largest size. So it would have worked for that cigar, but the other ones are as small as 35 ring gauge. And in order to get that, they wrapped around and you didn't see any of the cigar in it. So our design team had to come up with a new way to portray what we were looking for. And then they come up with that, which I like to call the one piece, because it's got those flaps on the side that still shows enough skin for the beach, but you could wear it to the in-laws for a pool party if you wanted. But no, it's absolutely important because the cigar is the star. And we didn't want it to look like every traditional band because we know that's part of marketing. People are going to look at a cigar, they're going to look at a band, they're going to look at a box. And if there's something uniquely different, there's a better chance that they're going to remember it or it'll draw to the eye. So absolutely, that second revision, because of the small ring gauge of it, I mean, because that brand has a 35 ring gauge cigar, we couldn't do a current band that we had. So, we found another revision that worked with small ring gauge, specifically down to that 35. So, I mean, I love that band. I think it's elegant. I think it's classy, but it's also very sleek.
I absolutely love it. That's one of the reasons why I want to talk about it, because it's different, but also at the same time, and correct me if I'm a little tasteless. About a year and a half ago, were you in Charlotte at 105 Cigar?
I mean, probably.
Okay, because I believe that's where I've met you before. I think you and
I mean, I've been in a lot of cigar shops in the last, so
No, I'm
I've
pretty
been
sure
there.
you
So there's a very good chance you met me there. I've been there.
Yes. So that was the very first time I had a chance to see your guys rebrand. And the best thing that you guys have done, which really makes the brand stick out in the humidor for a lounge attendant like myself, working in the lounge, is it catches your eye immediately. So if you walk into it in a humidor and you've got all these dark boxes and everything kind of blends in together, then all of a sudden you see these colors that just pop right on your right as soon as you walk in the humidor. I think that is where you guys really hit the nail on the head for the rebrand.
Yeah,
And
I
to show
agree.
people kind of what you're talking about is here's just one of the brands that we have. It's called the Bull and Bear. It's one of our best-selling brands. It's actually been around since 2014. But in our packaging, we have all white boxes, all have different colors for 4 points of recognition on every box with obviously the legible Crux logo. Then you have the name brand, the icon, as well as the color. So we don't care if you call this Crux Blue or Crux Bull and Bear, then you can find it. Then when you go into our cigars, you open it here and you have 5 packs as well as single sticks in a box. But more importantly, up here, you'll have icons for flavor notes and strength profiles. So it's a self-serving box that allows our customers to, help select what they're looking for. And again, when we did those analysis of it, we did tasting panels to help us choose those. So it wasn't tasting notes that Jeff and I picked out. It was, a group of people that are smoking cigars, and we took the most common ones and put it on our box. So you can self-serve yourself in a humidor and learn about the product and get enough information to make an educated, decision on the eyes drawn, the colors drawn, the eyes, and the information's enough for you to make a selection in our portfolio. So hopefully you enjoy that as your first experience, because like we say, first impressions are eternal. So you see something that looks good, something that looks classy, something that looks elegant, and then you want that to match that flavor profile that you're selecting.
So I think that's brilliant. And I would say that, so some comments from the audience real quick. LaShawn NASCAR for Life Hilliard says, yes, truly unlike most brands. She also says that the blues are fabulous. And she noted in earlier, you need to try Ladies First in Clinton, Maryland. We'd love to have a ladies' night with the brand. So check out Ladies First in Clinton, Maryland.
All right, let me just Google that so I don't forget.
Yeah, it's in the chat. It's in the chat on this feed. So if you look at the feed later, you'll see that. Also, Chris Colter says, glad that Industrial Cigars in Plano, Texas introduced me to the Crux line. Fantastic smoke. Yeah, Chris, hopefully I'll see you next week down at the Underground and we could talk about Crux. Make sure the rest of the world down there brings it in. Those
I
are
must
some
not
of
be
the,
getting the chat because the only thing that says in my chat is Quentin said question. That's the only thing I see in my whole chat. So I'm not seeing it somehow.
I don't know.
I'm also not- I'm also not
Not the
that-
chat on Zoom on Facebook,
Oh, gotcha.
Facebook feed.
That's why I didn't see it. Because I'm watching this. I can't do that. I can't multitask like you.
I was a one-man show before Q. Q picks up questions when I'm losing it and I have to look at stuff. And it's a great partnership. You showed us earlier what you're smoking. So this is something new.
Yeah,
Because you guys haven't had anything really new. You had some Vitola changes and extensions, but you really haven't came out with anything new other than like the limitadas, but we expect those.
Well, you're correct. The last time we came out with a new brand to market was 2018. So it's been 4 years since we came out with a new blend specifically. But then we did a packaging change. We did new Vitolas. But we're a company that if it's working, you know, or what do they call it? If it's not broke, don't fix it. So we want to make sure our core values and our core brands succeed in the market. And we're not just trying to come out with 10 new cigars a year. And for us to come out with something new, it has to be, for lack of a better term, Crux worthy, or it's something that we can stand behind, that we can have enough tobacco. So yes, this is our latest, but first in quite a while, which I took the band off, sorry, but it's the Crux Epicure Habano, which is the first time we've used a Habano Seco wrapper, Nicaraguan filler binder that we launched at the trade show. So we're selling it now for pre-orders, but it should be here hopefully this fall, based on making sure everything, you know, all the packaging, everything aligns here. I mean, we're already the first week of September, and you know, we're coming on crunch time, but it'll come out in the near future. But we look forward to something new because we don't want to cannibalize our other products. We don't want to just bring out another cigar that's something similar. Because of the production numbers that we have, as well as the rollers that we use, like we want to stay consistent there. So I am smoking it again because, you know, I need to make sure we still love them, which I'm really enjoying this again. But I haven't smoked one in a while. And when I didn't pick the Deconnoisseur, because I thought you'd be smoking it, I was like, it's a good time to obviously tell people about it because it's new and it's coming. I knew it was something you didn't have yet because we haven't. The only time we had trade show samples was at the trade show, and we actually have more coming, so we can get them to our sales team here shortly. But that first batch was a few months ago at PCA. So looking forward to having everyone smoking this. It's reminiscence of true Nicaraguan, medium-bodied cigar, a lot of flavor, a little bit of spice, but a lot of sweetness in that natural Habano wrapper.
Looking forward to that. I mean, it's everything you come out with, I always look forward to, and it just blows my mind. I mean, you guys are one of those small companies I followed from the very beginning, and you've never displeased me, okay, with your product. I mean, it's just like Q says, I mean, just the burn alone. I mean, you got it. You got it blended not only for flavor, but for combustion. And that is so important to me when I look at a cigar, because I don't want a cigar to give me any headaches. I don't want to touch it up. I don't want to have to relight it. I could put this cigar down for 4 minutes and pick it back up and it's still lit. Okay. It's classic. It's the way cigars are supposed to be. So
Thank you.
So how much time do you spend with Jeff? Jeff blends, but how much time do you spend with him tasting those blends? Like that one you're just talking about, the Epicure Habano. How long did it take you guys to figure that out?
I want to say we started blending the new cigar, I would say right after the release of the new branding. So probably, I mean, COVID comes into play there, which slowed us down. And then production numbers just to stay up. Didn't want to launch something new when we were trying to keep up with demand. When kind of we had that boom. So the number's a little longer than you think. So that would essentially been, almost 3 years since the start of the new project plan. But I would say usually it takes anywhere from a year to 2.5 years to get something that we love, because we don't want to cannibalize, like I said, other products. We also want to come up with something different that's in the Crux portfolio for Crux consumers. I mean, like, we don't make anything super strong. We're probably max strength 6.5 to 7 on the scale, and nothing less than maybe a 3 or 4. And we have that. We're trying to hit that medium, mild plus to medium plus bodied cigars, maybe touch full-ish on one of our brands. But we're in that medium range when it comes to strength, but we shoot for flavor. So it's finding well-aged tobacco that takes time, but you get a lot of mouthfeel on it. So I would say this one probably took about 2.5 years from beginning to now, but that was a little bit elongated due to COVID. Us kind of putting it on the back burner and saying, it's not the most important thing we need to do at now. But once we kind of got back into it, it still takes time. You got to find the right wrapper. You got to find the quantity of wrapper, the quality of the wrapper, and then all the filler and binder components to make sure you can make enough cigars in your initial release, and then, for years to come. So we had to secure tobacco. Once we kind of got it where we wanted, you kind of make sure you can secure the right amount of tobacco for a minimum of 3 years production, which you have to forecast out and overbuy. So you can make sure you can do that. So you can buy more and more tobacco every year. But for us, it's at least a 3-year process from the time we, plan to go to market with it to, we have enough tobacco secured so we can, create a brand, because it takes a lot of time and energy to, make something new. And we don't want to fall short when it comes to being able to supply.
Okay. Let me take another really quick break, because this one's pretty much a short one. I usually go into what's new in news and reviews on Stogie Press. Haven't put any reviews out. I'm starting those tomorrow and Saturday. We don't have a show on Saturday, so let me just go through a couple quick news articles here that came out this week so far. The first one is that Diesel Cigars has announced their Disciple now is a regular production. This was a TAA cigar that they made at AJ Fernandez's factory, and they decided to put this out as regular production. It's a Mexican San Andreas wrapper with an Ecuadorian Sumatra binder and an Esteli Habano, Viso Esteli, and Ligero Esteli filler. So very bold cigar. If you guys have ever had this, it's a 7x38 Lancero, and it's going to retail for $8.99 a cigar. Imagine that. The other news article came out was one of our sponsors here, Osvaldo Morales OM Cigars. They're releasing a rare 5-pack sampler. So they're going to take their best of their what they call essential blends and then putting them in a sampler pack to sell to their retailers. So you can check those out in the retailer shelves. One of the things I did want to go into here, since we talked about it, is let's go right to Crux Cigars. So I recently put out a review on the Dew Connoisseur. Let's just talk about the Dew Connoisseur a little bit, since I have time on this segment. So this Dew Connoisseur is a Corona. This one's a Corona Gorda. Comes in a 20-count box. It's a $9.99 cigar. And it's a Nicaraguan Habano with a Nicaraguan binder and a Honduran filler. And I just was blown away by the flavor, nuances, and complexities that are running through this. It had cinnamon and citrus, cocoa that morphed into the dark chocolate. It had some dry fruitiness to it with this beautiful natural sweetness underlying the core, with nice nutty aromas and pepper and spice. It just kind of kept moving along. The cigar is, it comes in a variety of different vitolas, but I truly believe that this Du Connoisseur number 4 expresses this blend the absolute best. And I love the original Du Connoisseur. So beautifully well made, packed. Look at the burn on this. Perfect, like Quentin was just talking about. That is my signature ash cone. I see that. That is absolutely perfect construction, even burn. Look at this. I mean, come on. You know, it drops again and you get the same beautiful burn cone. Absolutely beautiful. I rate this a 98. If you don't buy a box of these cigars, you're crazy. Okay. This is one of the best cigars I've smoked so far in 2022. And I'm going to tell you, we only got 3 months left. So, yeah, congratulations on this cigar. You guys did an amazing job on it.
I think
That means a lot.
everything you said.
That's a great score and a great review, and thank you.
Well,
And another thing, Jimmy, just to touch on another thing that you always talk about. I'm at the very end of the cigar, and there's literally no sponginess at the end of a cigar at all. It's
no
burning the
heat,
same.
no heat.
Yeah.
It doesn't burn hot. Okay, it's not hot smoke.
I haven't had to retouch this cigar not one time. And I started the call with this, and I'm at the end. I put it down several times, pick it right back up, and it pulls exactly the same.
It's just, you know, you guys have an amazing collaboration with AJ, and AJ does a great job with
Well,
everybody.
that one's made of Placencia.
Oh, that's a Placencia cigar. I forgot. That's right.
Placencia
That's a Placencia cigar on top of that. They did you right on this.
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of time down there. You understand the way the systems work. You help make them a little bit better, and then you have hands on. Don't get me wrong; they do just as great without us on pretty much everything. They're great partners, and that's why we picked them. But we have a higher quality of standard for even our stuff, where we go make sure that it has a crux level on it for us, and we want, as a small company, we have less room for error with new consumers. So. We want to make sure we're having consistently quality cigars, and unfortunately that makes that price point a little higher, like you said, $10+. But in the game right now, that's pretty, average.
$10 is $10 is 2019 average. Okay, I mean, the cigars I'm seeing coming out in the market today, they're pushing $14, $15. So having a $10 cigar that performs the way that cigar performs, even this one's beautiful, right? But this one's a little more expensive. But that's Du Connoisseur. That's a steal. Okay, go get those before Crux says we ought to raise the price.
I think it already went up to. I think it's $10.49, to be honest with you, Jim.
At 49.
I think it's $10.49.
50. You're gonna quabble over 49 cents.
I'm just telling you, I think it's $10.49 since that article came out, because we did do our first price increase we've done in a long time, and we try to keep cigars economical. We try to find other ways to cut our costs with it comes to using obviously refill bricks that we sell in, which is a big part of our company. Like you saw the beautiful packaging that we have. Obviously that's not cheap, but we also sell it in here's 4 or 5 packs, 20 counts that your retailers will get it from. And not only does this, keep our economical pricing down, but it's better for the environment because this is all made on recycled cardboard. So there's a green initiative in more than one way on these. But I mean, this is a very sellable product that our consumers can get, but that helps us keep our prices down. Instead of just always raising prices, we try to find ulterior options to cutting our costs. As long as we keep the quality of the cigar as high as possible. And that's where we're working on the new boxes that are made out of all recycled cardboard, which is a great company that we use. And it's the first time they've ever done something like that in the cigar world. So we like to be the catalyst on that, to try to forward think, keep our costs as low as possible so we can keep the consumer's price as low as possible.
There you go.
So Hey, Jimmy, real quick, we touched on marketing and branding, and I was talking about how the colors just hit. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to show the people that are watching the difference as I stepped into the humidor when you guys walk in and you see the Crux on the shelf. So I'm here at Emerson's here in Norfolk, and I'm going to turn the camera around so that you guys can just kind of get an idea as to how these things are displayed on the shelf. And as you see, it's brown all around, but if you look down there, you see anything that sticks out? Oh yeah, Crux. You've got the Epicure Maduro, the Guild, the Limitada, the Bull and the Bear, and the one that I'm smoking, the Dual Connoisseur. So they just pop as soon as you walk into that humidor. They're just there. So definitely just wanted to kind of reiterate how those things pop on the shelf and how great a job you guys did on the rebranding and the relaunch.
Great shot. Thank you, Q, for that. That is amazing. And I'm sure your retailers love that.
They do. I mean, it helps a company like ours that's still in its infancy have a chance with all those, big humidors, those big companies. Marketing is very, very, very important, and giving us the ability to be recognized and found in a humidor, and the three-dimensional marketing, the colors, the recognition points, they all play into the multiple facets that we thought about. And more importantly, the marketing company brought to our attention, like, how do we make this? How do we do something a little bit different, enough where people can understand? Like I said earlier, people say we're everywhere, and I say no. Now you just see us everywhere we are.
There you go. That's beautiful. At this stage, this is where we move into the lightning round. Here we try to keep the answers short. And we learn a little more about Casey the human, not the cigar guy. But the first question, I'm going to kick it off. The first question I have to ask you is, what is that next to you? That machine that you're sitting?
I'm sitting in our distribution center in Boca Raton, and that is actually a peanut hopper that is for packing peanuts. We do use the biodegradable ones, if anybody's watching. I know peanuts are a hot button issue, but we do use biodegradable ones, again, on the Green Initiative. So that's what that does. We fill that up every day, and it's helps fill up our boxes and protect those Crux cigars on the way to your retailers.
Thank you. Q, question.
Absolutely. So Casey, do you happen to partake in any of the football festivities that are getting ready to kick off here in the United States?
Well, so we've got two different facets of the football world, in my opinion. So I did play college football at Division III school, where my dad is still the defensive coordinator in St. John. So I flew home for opening weekend last week, which was a great game between two top 5 Division III schools. We came victorious. I'm a huge college football fan. Love watching college football. I do know tonight, in about 18 minutes, is the kickoff to the NFL season. That I, obviously by birth, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. Obviously have migrated towards Florida. Never became a Dolphins fan. But it's really fun to watch, obviously, the Florida teams, especially, Tampa Bay over the last few years, kind of resurgence with Tom Brady. And obviously he's fun to watch from a Big Ten guy. But no, I mean, college football to me is the second, maybe tied for first, sport that I partake in, which the other one is golf.
Gotcha. So you said you played D3. Where did you play D3 at again? St. John's?
St. John's University in Minnesota.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. So who are you taking tonight in the game? You got the Rams, or are you taking the Bills?
I feel like there's a lot of Bills Mafia influence down here, but I'm gonna have to, I feel like those Rams are pretty tough. I don't know what the spread is. That would be a better number. Who's gonna cover? I don't know what the spread is. I'm more of a gambling man than a cheering for a team.
Jimmy, can we look that up? I know you got that computer up. Can we check the spread on some of those games?
I'll have to look it up, but I have to ask more questions. So actually,
all right, you ask the question.
I'm going to thank LaShawn, NASCAR Life Hilliard, for the next question, because I don't always get lightning round questions from the audience. Golf, what's your handicap?
Oh, hold on, let me look. Pulling up my gin, 7.5.
Look at you. Holy crap. You really are serious with that.
And that's kind of an embarrassing handicap at this point. It used to be a 5.2 was my best, but work gets in the way.
And yeah, I put me on a golf course. I'm that guy that I buy a sleeve of ball. I buy 2 sleeves of balls because I'm probably gonna have one left by the end of the 18 rounds. So yeah, I'm the guy that's just like I tee off and it goes 3 feet in front of me, and then I say, okay, I'll just drop it wherever you want me to, and we'll keep playing.
All right, Casey. So we've got a 2.5 point favorite for Buffalo.
The game's in Buffalo?
And, no, it's in LA.
It's in LA.
And there's a 52 on the over under.
52 over under?
I'm gonna take LA at home.
It's basically a pick 'em at 2.5 because typically the home team gets.
What do you take on the over under on that?
52.5 over 52.5 opening day. Offenses usually don't show up opening day as much as defenses. So based on that, I don't know anything about those teams. I don't know their star players. If anybody's out, I'm going to take the under.
Take the under. All right. I'll
take the under, but I think I'll take Buffalo at that 2.5.
Well, we'll see if they can cover that. The game's coming on in just a short bit. You travel around a lot. You've been around the country, you've been around the world, showing off your brand. If you were to take a vacation anywhere in the world, money doesn't matter, where would you go to really enjoy a most relaxing vacation?
So there's been a vacation that my dad and I have been talking about for over 2 decades, probably. But it can't happen until he decides to retire. I mean, he's getting up there. We give him shit all the time, but he's still a college coach. So we're gonna do a Scotland. We want to go to the British Open, which is the only major that I haven't been to, and then we're going to go to Scotch tasting. We're both big Scotch guys. So then we're gonna wherever the British Open will be, and then we'll end up in Scotland. That's kind of that one trip that my dad and I have always talked about for, I think it's, well, let's just say it's 18 years since I turned 21, but I think it started before that.
Well, bringing up Scotland, I probably should have brought this up in the beginning of the show, but let's just say right here, God rest the Queen.
God rest the Queen. My mom did call me right before. She goes, I know you're going on the air soon, but she made sure I heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's
they even suspended play at the BMW Championship due to it, which is a tip of the hat.
I'll tell you, 70 years in reign. I mean, she was such a genuine human being, So we'll see what King Charles has to offer now. King Charles, as my wife would say, is not a good King Charles. This King Charles may be different, but the 2 previous King Charleses weren't all that great. He could have picked King George. He could have picked King Philip. He had other names he could have picked in his line of names, but he goes with Charles. So hopefully he can reverse the whole idea of a King Charles. Any more questions, Quentin?
No, I'm good.
You're good.
We had my little sports rendezvous for the night.
One last question. What movie genre is your favorite, and what movie in that genre would it be?
Movies are tough for me because I feel like I'm more currently, the movies that have been going through my head are all my nieces and nephews that talk about movies. I have a lot of nieces and nephews. It feels like we're always talking about The Lion King. That's been probably one of those, those movies that we take them back to the old ones. So those kind of run through my head as an uncle that I was just with in the last weekend. But for me, I feel like there's a lot of movies that are thought-provoking that really come to mind. One of my favorite movies all time is The Usual Suspects is one of my favorite movies. that I seem to always have downloaded to make sure in case there's a plane that it doesn't work. But I think that's one of my favorite movies. The Shawshank Redemptions of the world. That's another great movie
yeah.
for me. And then I think the one that stands above the rest is Major League.
Major League.
I've always thought that movie. I remember watching that. It's probably a remembrance thing to like growing up with my dad. Is also he's a college baseball coach, has been since 1976. But I remember watching that as a young kid on the bus as a bat boy, where there was swearing and baseball, and I felt like I was doing something wrong by watching. But I don't know. There's a little piece of me for Major League that's always been there.
All right. So that brings us to the end of the show. I want to thank all the sponsors because without them, this show is always a little harder to do. I want to thank Quentin for being my wingman here all these weeks. And Casey, thank you very much for taking your time out. I'm going to give you the last word, Casey.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks again. Obviously, you've known each other for a long time. You know, you've been obviously a huge part of, you know, a lot of the things. I mean, everything you've ever done for us has been complimentary, and you know, we appreciate what you do, and what Quentin's doing, and you know, it helps us spread the word on obviously a daily basis. That's kind of the thing. And if you like Crux Cigars, you can follow us on, I think, most social media platforms at Crux Cigars. You can check us out at cruxcigars.com to find a retail partner near you. And, you know, keep on smoking Crux for us. You know, if you like something, if you have ideas or shops that you need, you can email us at info@cruxcigars.com.
Thank you very much.